See if notifications go out. And if you're watching the replay, thank you. I'm sure you won't be because these don't get out, but who cares? Who cares? There it is. There's the notifications. Got our coffee. I just got out of the shower, so my hair's still wet. There's some peeps. Good morning. We're not walking because it's supposed to rain like any second now, so I didn't want to be caught out in the rain because I'm fragile. I've got a lot on my mind this morning. I'm not sure where I want to go with this. Some of it's trucking, some of it's not. Some of it's health and politics. Whatever you guys want to talk about. Or I guess beards dry faster because they're basically pubes. Yeah, I've got. There's a sweet spot where I oil the beard, right? So it's not like, it can't be completely wet, but it can't be 100% dry. So, but yeah, the beard definitely, this area definitely dries quicker than the hair. So, but what's up? Sitting here at the DMV waiting to take my hazmat test. Out of all the tests that I took when I got my CDL, the hazmat I did okay. It was the tanker, because a lot of the tanker and hazmat questions kind of intertwined. I mean, obviously, because there's a lot of tank freight that's hazmat, but I let my hazmat go, about five years ago, right before I came to like trucking. Jeff told me he wasn't going to get into the hazmat game, and I had it. Of course, you have to have it at Landstar, and Schneider it was an option, but I did the background check. So every 3 years you got to do that, and I kind of regret letting my hazmat go. But what's awesome is if I go to buy a tool, if you know what I mean, the tool. Man, my background checks come back like that. I've lived in the same house for 20 years and passed numerous background checks for hazmat and school system and all that. So, but yeah, I'm probably out of practice. So if I ever wanted to get my hazmat again, I would probably have to study a little bit. So good morning, friend. Getting ready to get on the mower and tear it up. There you go. That's a good thing to do. I was gonna do that probably today, but we got too much going on. A lot of things going on at the house. This is like the only window time I have to do a Saturday morning live. And it was awesome earlier. There was a thunderstorm. I should have went live then, but the wife was still home. She's out gallivanting with the church stuff, and the daughter's getting ready to go to this event downtown, and who knows what my son will be doing. But we got a lot of things going on. So the guy Mike that plays drums with me on some live feeds every now and then. His other band is playing tonight, so we might go check that out. Lots of things going on tonight, so but I figured we'd chat a little bit and watch my hair dry and have our morning coffee. Sometimes Shannon goes live Saturday mornings, but she's at home, so I doubt she will. And other than that, anybody else that goes live probably is outside of my scope. So, the first thought that comes to mind is well, let me read some comments. Kitty Craze with Dar, good morning. My name is Nobody, good morning. CB, good morning. Don Shonger, hello. Cheap Freight Hauler, good morning. This trucking life, sorry, what's up? Sitting here at the DMV waiting to take my hazmat test. Dar's talking about the beards. That's a good idea. Will Burner friend. Okay, and then Pigtail, good morning. So let's here. Let me make a statement. So we were talking about the beard earlier, okay? So this is how the internet, this is how capitalism, not capitalism, but corporatism works. Starting to rain. So I can get on the internet and tell you about how awesome it is to have a beard, right? How much the ladies love it, and pull these stats out of my butt, out of thin air, and go, oh, 82% of ladies love the beards if you're a man, blah, 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 right? And then I can like create this whole foundation of oh, here's all the beard products. You want a beard that looks like this? Here's all these beard products I use. Oh man, these are great. Here's the oils, here's the ointments, here's this vitamin that you can take that makes your hair grow more, and and I can do these involved videos of like, this is how I shampoo it, and this is how I put oil on it, and I can do this whole thing, right? And then you can be judgmental. I'm like, you're not a real man if you don't have a beard. And you could be like that, and real men wear beards, blah 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 blah, and then you can get political with it. Don't trust any politician with a beard or without a beard, or don't, the military should allow you to have a beard, that's racist to keep them from having a beard, and all this stuff, right? And I can put on this whole persona that if you do everything exactly like I do, you too can have a beard like this. And when you look at the very basics, when you simplify the process, someone might come up to me and go, hey Steve, so what's the real secret about growing a beard? I don't know, I trim it on occasion and just put some oil in it, and that's it. I don't do anything special. There's no special beard friendly diet. There's no, but man, I sure got a lot of views with all the other stuff I was saying. That's how the internet works. People are doing that for everything. And you can like, well, this study says beards do this, and then this study says beards do that, and this study says beards do this. And the whole idea is to confuse, right? So next thing you know, you got this faction of people arguing with this faction of people about the importance of beards, and if you're racist, and if you're, if a beard means you're a conservative Christian, or if a beard means that you're Muslim, or if a beard means that you hate things, and and all this, and that's what creates the views. And so next thing you know, the YouTube algorithm says, man, this dude likes a lot of beard videos, so I'm going to play beard video after beard video after beard video. How to grow it, how to trim it, how to shave it off. Look at this accident that happened with this guy with this beard, and the shorts come in, and next thing you know, you're bombarded with all this beard talk, right? And this is symbolic, Dar. This is symbolic of what's happening with every other topic in the world, right? Food is another thing that happens with, right? And so if you haven't watched the 2-hour Tom Bailu video that I put in the I think I put in the community posts, I highly encourage you to do that, because what it will do is it will show you about how the food conglomerates use tools like racism. They use tools like the government welfare system. They use tools like the whole agenda, like the whole pride thing, right? They use all these things to get people, like for example, Coca-Cola paid off the NAACP to gripe to the government that keeping sugary drinks out of black neighborhoods was racist. And you know what? The sugary drinks, they make $15 billion alone with the food stamp benefits. That's the kind of manipulation. And so when you have the carnivores arguing with the vegans, and the vegans arguing with the paleo, and the paleo arguing with everybody, vegans argue with everybody. The reality is if you simplify all of it, when it comes to the diet stuff, just if it did come out of the ground and have a mom, don't eat it. And there's some things that come out of the ground you shouldn't eat anyways, right? There's probably some animals out there that you probably shouldn't eat. But and what you'll do is you'll find yourself in this rabbit hole of all this gobs of information. And you know what people do when they get overloaded with information? Just like the computer, it shuts down. I had read somewhere that the first Transformers movie, the first time they generated a transformer going from a car to a robot, it literally fried the entire computer system, like up in smoke, like literal smoke, because it was too much information for it to process. So I think the same thing happened with Pixar in one of their first movies. They literally had to redo the entire system just to generate the CGI for the movies. Humans work the same way. Too much information, we shut down. And after we shut down, we're going to do what feels good at the end of the day. And, so with this beard analogy that I was talking about, you may be like, screw it. I'm just going to shave it. Be done. Screw it. If you hate me for having a beard, fine. If you hate me for not having a beard, fine. I don't care. Now I'm going to go drink this 6-pack of beer. So, once you can recognize those patterns, you become kind of immune. So, like 90% of these echo chamber arguments that happen on the YouTube space really, at the grand scheme of things, on your deathbed, don't matter. If you're trying to improve your health, go back to basics. And by back to basics, look at human evolution. Look at other countries. There are other countries that have bread, but yet they don't have the same issues we do. That's interesting. You have whole countries that have a huge diet of rice. They don't have the same issues we do. So basics would be like, well, if I'm going to be in America and eat rice or bread, then I probably should avoid it. Because you don't want to look or act or feel like everybody else. And one of the things that Callie Means says, the Coca-Cola guy, is that when you go to a CVS pharmacy store, the front of it is all the stuff that you have that creates the need for the stuff in the rear of the store, which is all the pharmaceutical stuff. Think about that. Think about the basics gist of that. And if you came across a person that sold fentanyl and Narcan, you would be like, wow, that dude's a genius. He gets them addicted to the fentanyl and then sells them the thing to get them off the fentanyl. Or to help with the overdoses so they can take more fentanyl. Next thing you know, you're in this endless cycle of addiction. Well, food works the same way. These companies are getting you from both ends. Responding, I don't know when you do know is a useful human skill. And and next thing you know, people become judgmental, or they think are being judgmental. You know how many rooms I've been in where like I was in a room one time of full of people and they were eating their donuts, and I was just like, and they know my stance on sugar, right? Like, oh my God, Steve's here. Oh, the carb police is here. I'm like, if you want to offend me or piss me off, that's one way to do it, because I am not judging people. I'm not judging people for their actions when it comes to something that really doesn't affect me. But they assume I do. And that's the internet culture we live in. People assume because you don't believe in something or you don't agree with something that you're judgmental. And that's why a lot of Christianity is struggling right now, because there's a lot of Christians that are judgy. And so when someone sees an imperfect Christian, they're like, oh, look at that hypocrite, and then they never find their search for God. They never find their search for spirituality. That is the work of evil, my friends. Is to confuse and to contort the truth, and and feed the ego, feed the adversity, not adversity, diversity, not yeah, diversity, and just keep feeding. And while we're sitting there having our little arguments, oh, you got to be paleo, oh, you got to be keto, oh, you got to be vegan or whatever. The gist of it is that none of us are right, and you got to do what works for you, but you got to know what you're up against as well. And so I'm not judgmental, because that's like a drug addict being judgmental when he sees somebody doing drugs. An ex-addict or an ex-alcoholic should be sympathetic to seeing what other people are doing to destroy themselves. We lack empathy, we lack sympathy, right? And because of that, the world becomes a darker place. Think about this. You know how many I watch a lot of like police activity. I watch their channel. I watch Active Self-Protection, which is a really great resource for situational awareness and training and all that. And so let's say there's a guy robbing somebody, and and he gets shot by the quote unquote victim, right? The person getting robbed defends themselves, boom, the guy's gone. Look at the comments on those videos. Oh man, the trash was taken out. Oh yeah, that saved the tax dollars. And it's like, this is the things that give people in that culture a bad name. You should have sympathy for the person that died over something stupid like a small robbery. You should recognize the fact that there's a root to that, and that's what you should be paying attention to. Not be the guy carrying a tool and hoping that something happens so he takes somebody out. I know a couple of people like that. They're just itching to be robbed so they can like try out their skills and their firearms that they bought. And that's the society we live in. And so when you have that kind of emotional energy, that negative energy, man, all it's going to take is a spark to light it up, right? and next thing you know, the pendulum swings the other way, and now we have all these battles, and then it swings another way, and then we have all these battles. Meanwhile, the person in the middle is like, what the hell? So, and that's where I stand. I stand in the middle, like just so I can observe all the noise here and all the noise there, and sometimes you got to be able to shut it out. And that's the important part, to recognize and educate. But but sometimes you just got to go back to basics. If you're 50 or 60 years old, were your parents overweight? What did your parents feed you? How many times a day did you eat? Did bread taste different? Pigtail sent me a TikTok that I watched on my browser because I refused to download that app. But it was a doctor talking about the actual science of how our bodies process whole wheat. And he mentioned something that a lot of people don't really talk about, is the destruction of our soil with these chemically laced corporate farms. And there's some studies out there that are saying that we've got about 40 cycles left, and we're going to be in some serious trouble with the nutrients in our soil. Pretty soon the whole country's, within the next 50 years, we're going to be, a food desert ourselves. And to be honest with you, I think that we're past the point of no return. They're going to blame it on cows. They're going to blame it on racism, not the fact that these chemicals are depleting our oxygen. They're depleting our nutrients. We're meant to have some fruit. We're meant to have some natural sugars. But someone took that concept and twisted it. Eating a whole wheat bread is no different than eating a donut. It's the same process, that how the body processes it. And once you recognize that, and then you go, man, but I have trouble getting rid of bread. How do you go without bread? That's how do you do that? That's the question you should answer yourself. Why is it that you can't? Is it because you need comfort food? Is it because of a physical addiction? Is it a mental addiction? Is it convenience? If it's about convenience, then you have to look at the structure in your life, and a lot of people can't be that honest with themselves. Just like in the trucking world, people don't do their numbers, or they don't track their costs, or they buy stuff that they shouldn't, and they're not honest with themselves. My costs are only $1 a mile. I'm fine. I'm going to buy this new RV. No, you're not fine. No, your costs aren't $1 a mile. You're lying to yourself. And I know several people like that. And you know what? Most of them are out of business right now because they weren't honest with themselves. And so controlling your emotions, being honest with yourself and others, and being able to filter out all the noise that's being yelled at you is the thing. Like, we'll go back to the beard analogy. Someone might call me and say, hey, Steve, what do you do different to grow your beard out? And I'll be like, well, I do this, that, and the other, and that's it. Well, when you're an introvert, a lot of people, I'll just go to YouTube, right? I'll just go to YouTube to learn that. And that's where you have all this noise, And the reality is that your genetics plays a role, and how your facial hair sets on your face plays a role, and that's it. You really don't have that much choice. I tell people you got to go through an awkward stage. I went through a stage where my beard would curve over. I looked like an Amish dude in a windstorm. And but then once it weighed down, it started to lengthen, and my wife digs it, and I get the people like, oh man, you would look so much better without a beard. You'll look younger. So, I like it. My wife likes it. There it is, right? Simplify. Just right in the Ozarks. Good morning. CVS example is a perfect demonstration of a societal trap. Absolutely. You know, and here's the thing, right? That's such a simple concept that makes people go, huh. And I guess that's kind of the approach I try to use. I didn't think about it like that. Well, there you go. And then, and if that sends you down some rabbit holes, then good on you, right? My name is Nobody. Everyone is imperfect. You are absolutely right. Everyone is imperfect. We all have our, you know, we all have our faults. Especially me. Especially me. Right? We all have our vices. We all have our battles. You know. God commanded us to love our neighbors. Jesus told us to love our enemies. Seems straightforward and simple to me, right? So, Grafton, what's up? So, I mean, that's kind of... No, I'll give you an example, right? Beards are in middle to southern Ozarks thing, or middle to southern, yeah. Well, if you look at, like, photographs from the 1800s, beards were, that was kind of a status symbol, you know, kind of like hats were for women in the early 1900s, and still is in Europe, you know, in England, I think, and Great Britain. So, but dang it, Dave, you made me lose track of what I was going to talk about. Oh yeah, so yesterday I got upset at something. And sometimes I talk too much, right? Sometimes everybody's like watching this going, sometimes. I said something that triggered a reaction with one of my family members. And it was not my intention, even though before I said it, I figured it probably would. And so I got upset. Not at the person, but just in the situation. It was about food, and I could feel anger. I could feel. I wanted to say hurtful things. I wanted to create this brash of reality that is supposed to be shocking. And what do people do when you do that? They shut down. Right? They shut down. So I knew that definitely was not the route. But the old me would have gone there. The old me would have done that. And so I went for a drive. And then I went to Costco and bought some hamburgers. I bought some guacamole. And I bought some sauerkraut for the probiotics. And I bought some stuff for the house that the house needed. Listened to some brutal death metal. And then when I got home, I cooked a really good meal for the family. I did a bacon wrapped chicken thighs. And it was so easy. I literally wrapped the bacon around the chicken, threw it in a skillet, an iron skillet, threw it in the oven, cooked it for a while. And then I heated up some Brussels sprouts, added some seasonings, and that was it. That's all I did. It was healthy. It was good. It was, you know, food in its rawest elements. A little bit of processing with the bacon, but it's a process that's been around for years and years and years. You know, that's how you keep meat good for a while. Is the curing. And during that time, I you know, I was the only one at home at that point because everybody was out running errands. And so I turned up my vinyl, I turned on Crowbar, and it felt better. And that And so what I also did, it was Friday. I had kind of an interesting week when it comes to um, the dispatch and trucking world. And so what I did was, those are times when I've like, I'm cracking open a beer, and but I didn't. I resisted that urge, and I feel pretty good about that. Um, and at the end of the day, I was fine. Some circumstances, I might have just gone to the internet and just watched a bunch of videos that were no good for me, or I would have had a six pack, or I would have said hurtful things, And so that's why it's to gain that control over your emotions. That's huge. No matter what you do in life, I don't care if you're a CEO of a multi-billion-dollar company, or you're the guy cleaning the local school. Okay, controlling your emotions allows you to make educated decisions that doesn't hurt people, and that's what happened. That's where I was at, and so that's what I did. So there you go. Just right. Beards. Oh, okay. Bacon is perfect in every way. It was good, and it was so simple too. It's such a simple recipe. You take the chicken, you sprinkle some stuff on it, then you wrap it in bacon. Make sure your pan's a little bit oiled. Um, actually, I used a little bit of olive oil to coat the pan. I threw the chicken thighs wrapped in bacon. Threw some spices on top, threw it in the oven for 25 minutes at 425. Or no, it was 35 minutes. And then I did 15 minutes at 450. It was done. One dish. I didn't dirty anything except one skillet. And then the Brussels sprouts, I made sure that they were thawed and threw them in the pan and let them get kind of burnt on one end, and then stirred them about, and boom, it was done. And I cooked them in bacon and butter. So, what would you do for a Klondike bar? I don't know. That's a marketing technique that shows the addiction of sugar. How often do you cook like that? Um, are you taking applications for new family members? My wife is the main cook of the house. A lot of times, if I'm doing a heavy fasting or carnivore regimen, I will cook for myself, but usually I'm cooking meals at lunchtime and skipping dinner. Um, my wife is doing more of the healthier options, so a lot of times I haven't had to do that. But for the most part, I cook predominantly hamburgers and eggs. Every now and then I'll find a sale on steaks. Like there was like last Friday. What did I cook last Friday? Last Friday I cooked hamburgers for the family. Um, I think there was one day where my wife had burritos or wraps, for that night's dinner. And so I ate a big lunch and then didn't eat dinner. Um, I do that quite a bit. So I'll move the lawn and the neighbor's lawn for bacon. But it's so easy, right? Hamburgers, same thing, real easy. I get the I get the Costco frozen patties. I get the grass fed ones, but any of them will do. You don't have to have the grass fed. And I cook them slow with a lid on the stovetop, and they don't come out dry. They're not overdone. Um, I pretty much flip them once and turn off the burner and throw some cheese on them. and that's usually perfect. Um, Simplicity, and that's what in the truck. Here's what I used to do for truck cooking, in which I have some cooking in the truck videos on the other channel. I will take the Hot Logic Mini and throw a couple of burger patties in there with nothing else except seasoning, and then let it cook. And after several hours, I'll throw some like broccoli or cauliflower or Brussels sprouts if you're doing the keto thing. Throw a couple of things of butter in there. Let it go for another half an hour, and the vegetables are perfect. They're not overcooked. Well, if you do them from frozen, you should probably do an hour, but it's a very slow cooker. It's like cooking a roast in the crock pot. It's very, and then boom, you got everything in one pan. You wipe out the pan. It's like a glass dish. You wipe that out, put it away, and boom, no mess. You're dealing with frozen meat, so it's simple. I have rubber gloves that I keep on the truck for handling raw meat. I'll do that with steaks. I mean, I cooked everything in that thing. I loved it. And it won't set your truck on fire like the lunchbox cookers will. So the trick is having the means to transport said frozen meat or fresh meat. So I like thick country style bacon. That I do too. You could start a cooking show, death metal playing in the background. There is a heavy metal cookbook out there. Of course, a lot of it's not good for you, but um, there's a guy out of India that does heavy metal kitchen. He's in a band, and he was keto for a while, but he gave up the keto thing, and you can kind of tell. But um, he was known for doing keto friendly recipes, and I watched him. There's a guy that also does like cooking hostile. It's like a Pantera tribute plus a cooking show. So there are some things that are out there like that. I don't have the time nor the like. I'm a one trick pony when it comes to cooking. I'm good at steaks. Well, I'm good at steaks. I'm good at eggs. Well, maybe not eggs. I know how I like my eggs. I'm good at seasoning vegetables. I do have a lot of cooking experience, but for the most part, when it comes to like extravagant recipes, that's not me. I'm not measuring. I don't measure things. I just kind of sprinkle this, that, and the other, and hope that it works out, and throw it in either an oven or on the grill or in a pan and heat it up. So there's not much to that. I'd be a very boring cooking show host. I wish we cooked in more with our cast iron. It cooked so much better. Well, that would be good. But what time is it? 10:04. I gotta end this live feed soon because I got people coming over that I have to meet. So somebody that my daughter's hanging out with. So but other than that, these are just my thoughts. This is I was very upset yesterday, and it was all self-inflicted for the most part. And I handled it. I didn't turn to food, dopamine, products like the internet. I just went to straight music, and that's kind of what I forget sometimes. Is like, hey, you know what? I own a lot of music. I can play music. I should just default to that, because it can be overwhelming. All this digital noise is overwhelming. I sometimes I almost hate to do my live feeds on the other channel about the spot market, because I think that if you're struggling right now, the last thing you want is some dude sitting at home telling you that you're doing shit wrong, right? And I don't want to be that guy. And even though sometimes I feel like I come across that way. Sometimes we just got to let loose and have fun, and and just there's a lot of things that I want to say about the trucking space that really has nothing to do with spot market, but more about respecting individuals that work for you. Um, because a lot of people say, "Oh, I'm gonna have 10 trucks, doing this dedicated count," not realizing there's a human element to hiring drivers. And if you don't learn to recognize what makes a human tick by having some empathy, then you're going to struggle with that. You can give the wrong person the perfect truck and they'll screw it up, and you can give the right person a horrible truck and they'll make it right. And that's the basics of it. And and I know a person that's well, I'll keep that thought to myself for now. You just need to yell "bam" when you add ingredients, right? Your thoughts are appreciated. Thanks, Snorelord. I think your other channel is viewed positively overall. Yeah, I try. It affects my numbers because people like negativity, people like the drama, people like the he said, she said, let's make fun of people stuff, and I don't judge those channels, because that's to me there's a bigger picture we should all be focused on, and a lot of those are just distractions from what's really going on in our lives. It's obvious that you're trying to help people, and that's very noble. You know what sucks about reading comments is you got that stupid heart thing right there. So it's hard to read that bottom comment, but I appreciate the positive comments come on with it. Look, I guess I try to be a YouTube channel that I would have liked, 10 years ago, that would have helped me when I was at Landstar doing stupid stuff. It's nice to have a weather report on the spot market that's not overly complicated. And I do have some dispatch videos coming out. I did one members only, and part 2 should be coming out. I still got to record it, so that'll be coming out probably next week. It looks like dispatch might pick up a little bit next week, but not much. There's a couple of metal shows I'm going to next week also. And then we've got a couple of new drivers, so I gotta make sure that that's all good. All right, well, somebody's here, so I gotta go. Thanks for watching. It's gonna go private for a minute, but then it'll go back public. So with that being said, thanks for watching. Peace.